All right, and we are live.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I am your beloved Count Olaf.
And welcome to my lovely podcast. Welcome, everyone, to Area Nerdy 1. We are talking about Lord of the Rings. It's going to be a very interesting time in the coming few years because it's going to be a little over a year till the next, to the actual first episode of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, so.
Which that isn't specifically the reason why I wanted to talk about it this show. The reason specifically why I wanted to talk about it, you guys love this logic, is because we are now starting the Walk to Mordor challenge. Yep. Now it's been narrowed. I narrowed it down that Frodo started his journey on September 24th in whatever year it was. So
I had to cut you off. How did you figure that out?
Okay, honestly, it wasn't me. It was a guy on TikTok who I will now give credit to because that's how this works.
We should have had these all set. I should have had these TikToks set up.
I tried to get away with it. You called me out on my bullshit. What?
I can't not call you out on your bullshit.
Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna give this guy credit where credit's due. Just saying. Blah blah blah.
You send a lot of TikToks.
I do.
That's an unreasonable amount. You guys can't see it, but you scroll through a good 20.
Okay, so I am head of the TikTok division of Area Nerdy 1.
You're failing your job.
I am. I truly am. Where is it? Where's the dude?
Well, anyway.
Yeah, take over.
The Walk to Mordor challenge is kind of like any of the other walking challenges. It's where you have a set distance and you then go from there. So basically you count how many steps and how many miles you do with your Fitbit or Apple Watch, and you calculate and then add it up. And
so what we're using is the Walk to Mordor app here.
Yeah, I was meandering. You needed to say.
Okay, so the Walk to Mordor app, basically someone put together this app. It's unaffiliated with Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, TM, etc.
We're also not affiliated with them. We're just using it.
But anyway, so it's an app someone put together. Basically, you enter in as a log how many miles you walk, and it will tell you where you are in the Hobbit's journey. I haven't started it yet, but the first milestone is Tukland, which is 5 miles away. And then, eventually you reach places like Minas Tirith or, the Dead Marshes, Shelob's Lair, etc. until you get to Mordor. So we are starting it at the same time they did. We started it yesterday, the 23rd, which, by the way, that TikTok guy is called Don Marshall 72. So
thank you, Don Marshall 72.
Thank you, Don Marshall 72.
Yes. And just so everybody knows, I am already at 19 miles right now.
I don't believe Jared's Fitbit is accurate. I think that he has either jailbroken that shit or he's put his height as 3 feet so that he's got
I can't read English. You think I could hack the system into my Fitbit through my Bluetooth?
I think that you maybe can't speak English, but you maybe speak Russian or something, and that's how you were able to hack into it so well.
That's fair.
Anyway, we're starting the Walk to Mordor challenge. We're going to see which one of us between Jarrett, Matt, and I who gets to Mordor first over this year, and then we're going to win a prize. I want to wait until Matt is on the show to reveal what the prize is, but there's going to be a prize for us at the end.
I also wanted to give a shout out to Matt. He's out right now. He stopped his ambassadorship to the Ants. It did not go well. He is now trying to get their colonies in South America on board to destroy the ones underneath the compound.
Did he go over to the termite colonies and he was like, I'm gonna partner up with the Woody Allen ants and we're gonna destroy you all.
So for anyone that didn't know, Matt is a horrible bug racist, and termites are lowest on his list. We've had several company meetings about that.
I tell you, I spent so much time in HR over this. So many trainings. God, every time
for some reason you just hate grasshoppers.
Every time Matt does something, we end up having a 6-hour training. Yeah. So anyway, bringing it back.
But I wanted to say thank you, Matt, for doing that for us, and we miss you, and we'll see you soon.
Yep. And as you guys can see, I've got the whole Lord of the Rings map right here. We'll be following our progress. Right now, we're starting right here in the Shire. Oh, we're back at the beginning.
You know what you should do?
What?
You should get the those little stickers from Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, right, yeah.
Let's stick it on there. Wait, how did Jarrett get ahead of us? From all logical sense, it doesn't make any sense. But we are going to be talking about Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings has a new show on Amazon, and it is already pretty juicy.
It's being funded by that fat, large Amazon cash.
Yeah.
Like Daddy Bezos took some money out of that rocket fund.
Yeah.
And he's making Lord of the Rings come to life. He's bringing Middle Earth to our television sets.
Jimmy, ask me how much, or
I'm gonna ballpark it.
Yeah, ballpark. How much do you think it costs right now?
Okay. I don't have a reference. Like what's a normal? Okay, I know
Okay,
for a fact that.
Okay, so here's the dealio. Here's the dealio in the sweets.
How does Game of Thrones? Yeah.
I was just gonna go. Stop.
All right, we're
jumping ahead of me.
Okay. Sorry,
I'm
my
gonna
brain
punch
works
you
faster.
In your brain hole.
Sorry, my brain works
God
faster than
fucking A. All right. So, Game of Thrones, up to this point, is the most expensive TV show.
Right.
With a budget of approximately $10 million per episode.
Okay, I'm with you.
$10 million per episode.
So the last season cost what, $80 million?
Yes, more than $80 million. It was more along the lines of about $100 million. But the first season alone costs about $100 million because it's 10 episodes, $10 million per season. Also, you have to factor in all the marketing that went into that as well. They did
because they don't
shit out of that.
They don't add that in when it comes to budgets.
Right,
That's
so
like their ghost.
So the first season, I would say, would be about 150 million, maybe about 200 million. Right now, what do you think the budget is for the first season of Lord of the Rings?
Okay, so let's see here. Lord of the Rings is going to have at least let's see here. There's like 3 dragons per capita with Game of Thrones. They're going to have probably at least
there were no Green Dragons the first season.
Right, that's true. I'm gonna safe bet. I'm gonna double it. You know what? Double it half. I'm gonna say 250 million. 250 million ducats to get this show on the road.
250 million gold dragons.
250 million.
That's American money too. That's real money. None of this Canadian goose paper money.
I'm gonna say 200. Convert that to Lambus bread. That's about 157 million Lambus breads.
But you're saying about $250 million.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
I'm actually going to ask you. Point Matt LeBlanc. Did you look this up before we talked?
I did not.
Okay. It is the first season alone right now with no real marketing whatsoever.
Sight unseen.
Sight unseen is $465 million.
Oh,
it is the most expensive first season ever put to screen, and it is the most expensive season ever. It's the most expensive show in history.
That's more expensive than Bezos' entire Blue Harvest, whatever he's calling his rocket company.
Blue not compensating for anything at all, and definitely did something real in space.
That's more than his rocket money. That's a huge amount of money. Has anything been that expensive?
It has not. This is most movies cost around maybe $100 million. You're pushing $200 million for high budget stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. But we talk about this a lot on the show, that streaming services do not recuperate what they put in.
What are they expecting to get out of this? That's the question.
I genuinely don't know. I don't know. They have a lot to live up to. It's not. This is not Aragon. This is not Aragon. This is not Aragon. This is Lord of the Rings. This is the best movie series ever put to screen. They have to make this work, but they are not going to make back that money. It's impossible.
I'm just remembering Chris Paolini was 15 when that book came out, so I'm just imagining 14-year-old Chris Paolini is like, what am I going to call this main character? Dragon?
Yeah.
I'm just going to E.
Just one letter down.
One letter.
Got it. Nailed it.
I've invented freaking a new element. I'm gonna put it in my Iron Man center chest piece.
It's just ironed down. But this is gonna be interesting. We do have the cast list as well.
You wanted to talk about this, right?
Yes. Let's. So we only know about 4 people. So we do have a lot of the cast list. We have a bunch of people on the cast list, but we only know about 4 of them that actually have character names
right
now. So first of all, we have
Morfydd
Clark.
Morfydd Clark
is Gladriel. So she's been best known for, she was Saint Maud in the titular movie. So of Saint Maud, and she was said a secondary character part in the movie Crawl, which was also very highly acclaimed as well. So she's a great actress.
So she looks like she's relatively young. She's maybe in her early 20s.
Yeah.
Most. Yeah. So
She's in her mid-20s.
And Kate Blanchett plays Galadriel in like modern times, like in the OG trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy. So here's the thing, though, canonically speaking. So when describing like how elves age and stuff, like they're immortal, they just live forever, and Tolkien describes them as getting ever fairer. They just get ever fairer and more beautiful and stuff. So my interpretation of that is they kind of Benjamin Button. So like even though they're old, they start to look like just younger and prettier and stuff.
I always took it as they were like kind of like, because they are kind of like fae. As they grow older, the aura around them becomes more mystical. So even though they might not look younger or better looking, they just have the presence of,
I guess you're
awe-inspiring.
right. Yeah.
But also, I have a question. So if elves live forever,
allegedly, yes, ostensibly,
until they're basically they live until they're killed.
Yeah.
So and they have children, obviously. So why don't they have like a major population boom?
That's a good question. Like, there's probably an answer for it. This is where we're going.
Well, we still don't really know where orcs come from.
So in J.R.R. Tolkien's like Catholic-inspired world, sex doesn't exist. That's the only explanation. Why aren't there more elves? Take us away, Google.
I feel like
Tolkien never says outright why there are so few elves or any definite connection between the lack of children and the elves at the end of the Middle Age. It's sort of a vicious cycle because elves sail west and they aren't adding any new children. So he doesn't really say. I think it's kind of like one of those things where
you live forever. I mean, like, what's the point of having a kid? I mean, so maybe they just have extraordinarily low birth rates.
Okay, so we're gonna have there's two ways we can go about this. There's the Doylinian and then the Watsonian. I forget what the first. So basically, there's two ways to approach this. Like the Doylinian, I think that's what it's called, is basically like Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy who wrote Sherlock Holmes. Like, what was the author thinking? What was his milieu? Yeah. Versus the Watsonian approach, like, okay, in that universe, in like my head, your head canon counts too. So let's see here. What I'm diving into Reddit right now. If you want, Reddit's not super like reliable, but if you want an unvarnished, like in-depth pop culture, shit.
It's kind of like being plugged in directly to pop culture. It's a lot of information. Sometimes it's correct.
This guy's doing the population math.
Yeah, so he's saying that if all things being equal, of elves having about 4 to 6, about 4 kids, they would be basically the dominant species.
So the other thing we have to consider is that elves aren't like necessarily normal creatures. They are kind of actually more like metaphysical beings.
Right.
They're so. Like the way we think about, creatures
like gods adjacent. Maybe.
Yeah. So like people, animals, and even plants like reproduce XYZ. These elves are like little slices of God, basically. So like they're not going to interact or reproduce or do anything like normal humans, basically.
Right, but they do have kids. They do have children. They do have direct heirs and relations.
Right, but that's the thing. So. I think that within Tolkien universe, I think it's kind of a false start to think like, oh yeah, elves. Why don't elves have kids?
Also, it's kind of weird. I always thought of it as an odd thing, especially in Tolkien's universe, because like dragons and Balrogs are creatures, but they weren't. They're not like animals or anything like that. They were quite literally created, and all the races were kind of like that. They were all created.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So. Okay. Balrogs were not created by Morgoth. Dragons were, kind of. I don't know. I haven't gotten through this. So I haven't gotten through the Silmarillion yet. I know what it's about.
It's confusing, but anyway. Anyway, she's gonna be Galadriel. Roger.
Wait, was there something about this casting that you wanted to talk about?
No, that's it. That's literally all we know.
Oh,
that's it.
She's a good actress, and she's cast as
she's a good actress. There's something I have on the end of when I get through all the cast.
All right, she looks the part, and I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah,
she's a good actress.
We don't have a picture for this one, but Robert Amaldo, he is playing Beldor. He was young Ned Stark in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Yep. So
that dude.
Yep. So he is
Robert Aramaio.
Aramaio. I am butchering these words. But he played young Ned Stark. He's not known for a lot of roles yet. He's again a very good actor. We don't know a ton about him yet.
This is going to be kind of like with Game of Thrones and, to a lesser extent, Marvel Universe, where they take kind of like a little bit more below the radar actors and like give them a shot to show their stuff.
But these are high quality actors. None of these actors are like just going. They're not taking any risks with this. These are actors that are tried and true.
Mhm.
They know their stuff in and out. They're just not, limelight.
Right. What's the English equivalent of Broadway? I forget what it's called again.
Buckingham Palace.
No, that's the Big Show.
Oh,
I think that's actually what they call it too.
really? The Big Show?
Yeah. Broadway. Where's the person equivalent of Broadway? Jeez. Thank you for it.
Yeah, Cora. It's always spot on.
Blah blah blah. West End. Yes.
West End.
Yeah, the West End. I thought that's what it was. So
I always feel like all the things in Britain are just made up on the spot. They don't really exist. Like the West End.
Oh yeah, you gotta go West End. Yeah,
If you go past the river and you go over the trolley booths, you've gone too far.
You gotta go past the Proudfoots. Proud feet.
Don't look them directly in the eye. You might get a rabbit in the stomach.
Watch out for Farmer Maggot's farm.
But we do have a picture of this. Joseph Maul. He's playing Orin, and
not spelled like Darth Maul, like Maul.
Maul. If you guys also would recognize him as Benjen Stock. He was also played a character in Heart of the Sea, and you'll know this. He was in Ripper Street.
Yep, he was in Ripper Street. He was in he was a corrupt precinct captain basically, and he kicks ass in that one. He has fight scenes. He fights a kung fu master in that one. Yeah,
So he's a very good actor.
Yeah.
So he's kind of underutilized in Game of Thrones, but of course, Benjen Stark's not exactly a major character in that way. But then we have, he's playing Orvin, and then we have Michaela Carvin. We don't have a picture for her. I don't have written down what her role is going to be.
What's Markella Kavanaugh? Tyra. Markella Kavanaugh.
Jesus Christ! Why am I can't do words today. I can't do names today.
She was in the True History of the Kelly Gang. She's only got 3 film credits, but she's got a bunch of TV credits. But anyway, Tyra sounds like it's going to be an original character.
So actually, besides Gladriel, those 3 characters I talked about are all original characters. They don't appear in the books whatsoever.
They're not Tolkien official.
They're not Tolkien official. So all of this plot, besides maybe a few things, are going to be Tolkien official. It's going to be its own thing, which is exciting and also harrowing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to hold up Tolkien as the pinnacle of writing and fantasy.
He's the pinnacle for world building.
Yeah,
he's not the greatest.
He was. Yeah, I'm not gonna say his if you copied and pasted his writing, it would be as entertaining.
I mean, pretty much he did write for a very white-centric audience.
Yeah, and he was coming from honestly, I don't know enough about his background and what his writing process was to comment on it.
He basically spent all of his time world building and then built around that. That was his process. Start big and then go small. That's
interesting.
That's why his world building is the standard.
True.
Because he started with, what this is and then built the characters around that. That's why they feel so natural. That's why they feel so, in tune with their, nothing feels really out of place.
Yeah. He didn't shape the world around them. He was okay, people are in this world and they have to shape themselves around it. What would that look like? Very cool. Very cool.
Exactly.
All right. So, now what? You want to
literally, while I was researching this, I was I don't have anything. There's nothing here.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is the movies have been out for over 20 years now.
And they hold up.
They hold up. They still fool. Yeah,
They slap.
the special effects fool the eye. I cry every time Frodo goes to the Grey Havens. Like it still slaps. So, whenever I need to get pumped up for a job interview, I listen to Samwise Gamgee's speeches and get really the Rohirrim speeches and the speeches of the Black Gate. Like those get me pumped. Now. There may be a time when the strength of men fail, but that is not this day. I'm like, I'm gonna get this job at Best Buy.
But that brings up a good point. This massive budget, do you think there's going to be a lot of big battles?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think because that's a major draw for especially the Return of the King. Like it's the battle movie. There hasn't really been another movie that's recaptured that epic battle size and scale and awesomeness. Like some have tried, like Troy and
Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah, and like Game of Thrones has tried, but like I have to say it's probably the perfect action battle scene.
It's the Battle of Pelennor Fields on its own is amazing. All of it, just like the Rohirrim come in and they decimate the orcs, and victory is right within their grasp.
And then the Oliphaunts show up.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, man, they fucked up. I mean, he was so King Theoden, just instead of retreating and being tactful about that, he made a major mistake and got almost all of his men killed.
Yeah, he charged right at those big old elephants.
Yeah, like a dingus,
Yeah, it's like, what are they gonna do? Like the horses aren't gonna freaking charge right at them. Like, what can you do?
Yeah, and that everything about that movie was amazing. Like you have all this swelling music this entire time, but as soon as they go into the elephants, dead silence.
You're right.
All you hear is the carnage of what's going on.
You're right. Oh my, I hadn't even thought of that.
That's how you make a good movie. That's how you make a good movie. That's what happened with the Battle of the Bastards when Jon is staring down the charge of the Bolton men. Again, that no green screen. That is Kit Harington staring down a genuine charge of horsemen. Everything. Yeah.
I did not know that.
And then
You're just full of trivia tonight.
I know. This is why you guys brought me on, is the cinematic stuff and the fact that I learn things that no one else cares about.
Also, you're my brother, and I know that you would work for free.
I'm not working here for free. I've been siphoning the budget for years now.
We've all been siphoning the budget for years. There's nothing left.
There's no budget. So, but then as soon as the countercharge comes in, silence. The music stops. That's how you make a actual good, battle scene.
That's interesting because now I'm thinking about in Battle of Pelennor Fields, you get freaking jazzed up from Theoden's speech, and they make the charge, and the charge is glorious and cinematic, and then boom, easy, and then boom, Sauron pulls a fast one on them, and you're like, okay, now it's this is what happens when you're in battle. Shit gets serious and things turn on a dime. And
of course, we did get teased the elephants in the Two Towers when the Rangers, killed a couple.
Yeah.
But so we were waiting for that, and then of course, while the Rohirrim are out there doing their thing, there are still orcs inside of the city, getting ready, and then you just think, oh shit, things are going sideways, and you just have a quiet moment with it's Merry.
Is it Pippin?
No, Pippin is with the Rohirrim. Mary's with Gandalf. And
why do we call ourselves fans when we don't even know every little meticulous detail?
I gotta be honest. They are kind of interchangeable at certain points.
I don't think so. I think that Meriadoc Brandybuck, he's you can definitely see him change by the third movie. He's got much more responsibility. He understands the stakes. He's this is serious. He's a lot more level-headed, but Pippin still has kind of that mischievous, I'm just gonna take a look at it,
Yeah, but he also gets fucked up in the battle, though.
Yeah.
But Mary and Gandalf had that quiet moment talking about death, Basically, I think, as far as I'm concerned, that is the closest I've ever seen a movie or TV show come to, realizations of death. Just talking about that and just being like, I'm scared as shit, but all right.
You know, I have to agree with like every other movie I've seen in some way or another. Not every other movie, but tons of other movies that I've seen deal with death in one way or another, and like they even talk about it. But that's really just kind of one of the ones. It's like, yeah, that's quietly like how people would deal with it. Like I'm scared of shit, and then they talk each other through it.
Also, you do have Gandalf who quite literally died, came back at.
It's funny. He just like Mary's like, I'm really scared to die, and Gandalf's like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll come back.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
I'll be like Gandalf the Green or something. I'm gonna be fucking awesome. Like you.
You've seen this before 11 times, man.
Come
on, Mary, let's go.
I'm gonna come back as Gandalf the fucking glow in the dark or something. I don't know what's gonna happen to you, but yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Just leans over to Mary. Yeah, you're a footnote in my history. You're like a dog, but more annoying.
You're more like a hamster to me, honestly, though.
Yeah. So I like that. Whether or not they'll be able to match that kind of writing, storytelling, and just emotional, cruxes of movies that the movie had. The movies kind of were like those lightning in a bottle kind of things.
Yeah.
They're not going to be, like you said, they're not going to be made again. You don't have the absolute charisma of Viggo Mortensen just being Viggo Mortensen.
Like, the more I see him behind the scenes, the more I'm like, he understood the assignment and was the perfect guy for this role.
Everybody loved each other on that set. He chipped a tooth, he broke a toe,
used live steel on set.
Yeah.
I love that. I know Sean Bean was too scared of flying the helicopter, so he had to hike up the mountain every day. Mm-hmm. And apparently, like this, one of the stunt women who was one of the stunt riders, really fell in love with one of these horses on set. She's like, oh, but I can't afford him. He's too expensive. And then Viggo Mortensen just bought the horse for her because he's like, she was the person for this horse, and I want to see them separated. Yeah.
So at one point they had to do some filming, I think, for a couple of scenes in the second movie. So they had to take Viggo Mortensen and a few other actors, and they and the crew and the very small amount of crew up to this like lake area and do their filming. And eventually they were just like, let's just invite people, and they just started fishing and it was supposed to be just a few people. Turned into the entire crew just having cookouts and barbecues while they were filming.
I would have loved to be on that. I would love to be in that movie.
They apparently just loved each other. But to kind of piggyback off of what you said, it's not going to be made again, is those movies were not, like the first one was made, then the second one, the third one. They were filmed consecutively.
Right.
And then released. Mm-hmm. That's never going to happen again. That is never going to happen again.
No.
But also, that's what made the movies flow so well, is because they were made.
Isn't that what James Cameron's doing?
Who the fuck knows what's going on with James Cameron?
He's trying to bring back 3D movies, even though we are on the other side of that trend, so that nobody's making them anymore. Okay.
I'm going to throw some major shade at some very powerful people.
Please do.
Please come at me. James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, what's the one that was in what's his name?
What movie?
Fistful of Dollars.
Fistful of Dollars? That's Sergio Leone.
No, the actor.
Clint Eastwood.
Sorry. No, but Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, and a few others, they don't understand what modern audiences want. Mm-hmm. Steven Spielberg is still like banking on the fame of fucking Jaws. Ready Player One sucked. Everything he ties his name to is horrible. George Lucas can't do films anymore.
I think that I would disagree that Ready Player One sucked, but I see what you're saying. They are kind of playing, they're playing off the nostalgia factor a little bit too much, and they're really kind of resting on their laurels.
Yeah.
Not to say that these guys aren't talented and completely capable. It's just from the work that they, has come out, and to me, as an audience goer have seen. Then I see it. There's they haven't really evolved with the medium as much.
James Cameron did a really good job with Avatar, but it's a spectacle. But outside of that, it's fine.
Yeah, it's the world's okayest movie.
Yeah, but it's also the world's most expensive okayest movie. And now, where is it? As far as visual effects,
it's at the bottom of the Walmart $5 bin.
Exactly. So, as far as visual effects, it is the pinnacle.
Right.
It's the best. But that's not what James Cameron went there to do. He's not part of the visual effects team. He paid other people to do that. That was a whole other team. That was a whole other company. He couldn't make a good movie around the best visual effects anyone's ever seen.
So have you? I think we talked about this on the show before, but
we shit on it a lot.
But no, we talked about this on the show before. I think we brought up the Avatar effect. Do you remember that?
A little bit.
So basically, there were these news stories coming out after Avatar came out that they were reporting that people were getting depressed that they couldn't actually go and live in the world of Avatar, which the rest of the world as fans were like, first time.
You want to live in the world of Pandora? Put like a ton of those TikTok lights around your room, and then bada bing, bada boom. You just can't sleep.
And then, so it's it's one of those things. This movie was huge. This movie was awesome. It was this pinnacle of filmmaking achievement. It made more money than God when it came out, and then of course a year later, nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, no one really cares. It is used in like marketing for like TV. Remember, like after it came out, like for years, it was like the movie they put on like the TVs that they're marketing and stuff.
Yeah,
like on like buy the 69-inch, whatever, and they would say and they would be playing Avatar because that was the movie.
Yeah, and
before
I sold those TVs. Yeah. I sold those 4K curved 3D TVs with the little cameras on top.
And before that, it was King Kong.
Yep. Even though I would have gone with Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
Perfect sequel. Sequel movie.
We're talking. This is the wrong sequel. We're talking
about. This is actually a prequel. But this is what I want to know.
What?
Sauron.
Yeah.
What do you want to see from Sauron?
I want to see Bay Sauron.
Sauron.
I want to see him as Anatar, the gift giver, showing up, looking like a GQ model with Victoria's Secret model hair.
I was thinking about that. So we talk about Penny Dreadful a lot because we love that. What if he was like Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, the demon, where he's like taking on other forms, and you don't even know which characters could be him.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely want to see him in not like his armor or something, but like an ethereal form, just a dark form, just trying to get
kind of like in the Hobbit movies.
Kind of like in the Hobbit movie. Do you think we'll see anything about Morgoth? Maybe the like Dark Whisperer, or
I don't think we're going to see anything about Morgoth because I think at this point, Sauron's character has moved on from Morgoth. I think at this point, Sauron's character is out for his own gains. He's trying to control Middle Earth rather than being.
Well, maybe this is like him, like dealing with that, like figuring out what he is after Morgoth and deciding this. This is what I'm going to do.
Oh, that wraps it up very nicely. Are we going to see actual character development from Sauron rather than he is just the pinnacle of evil out in the distance somewhere?
He's basically kind of like the Mountain without Tywin Lannister.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out who he is and what he's doing. He's hanging out on Numenor.
Right. He's like, I quit my old job for you, Morgoth. Like, what am I going to do now?
Exactly.
The company's gone bankrupt.
And then, I would like to see this. This is the character development I want to see. He is wandering around. He doesn't know what to do, right?
Right.
He's going around, Middle Earth and stuff. The orcs are going on, there's no more orcs or anything. Mm-hmm. But as he's wandering around the wilds trying to figure out who he is, they're coalescing around him.
Right.
They're just coming to him.
Right.
But unlike Morgoth, there are no Balrogs. There are no dragons. There's nothing. The only things that are gathering around him are trolls and orcs.
Trolls and orcs.
That's it. That's why there's such hordes of them.
That's right.
Because he has to compensate for not having massive shock troops.
Because that's a big debate among Tolkien fans is had the Balrog and or Smaug had contact with Sauron, would he have been able to control them or command them?
I don't think so. I think the Balrog was kind of like this. After Morgoth gets tossed down a well, quite literally.
Yeah.
He goes to sleep, and then someone disturbs him. He's just pissed off. He's not going to go with the bitch boy, the second hand of Morgoth.
You're right.
He's just out for himself.
If the Balrog wanted to do stuff, he could have. He just decided to chill in the dwarves' old digs for eternity.
Basically. Yeah, exactly. And Smaug obviously is out for its own anyway.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care. I mean, if Sauron was able to offer him more gold, but he has
As long as he's got a giant waterbed filled with gold coins, or his Scrooge McDuck vault, he's good. I mean, I very much think that if he was offered more gold, he would go for it. But it's hard to find more gold than what was in the Lonely Mountain.
I think he would have to send orcs in there.
Yeah.
And Smaug was pissed off that people were just disturbing him.
Yeah.
So
Sauron would have to have gone himself or sent a Nazgul.
Nazgul don't do good with fire. What are they made out of? Nitroglycerin?
Yeah. Oh, let's bring it back to like Sauron's plan. Okay, so we're gonna do TikTok talk.
Yeah. So we're gonna try a new segment where we take a TikTok trend and we kind of react to it on camera.
Yes,
live.
we're selling out. This is what people made this shit for. We're not gonna be ashamed of that.
Yeah, if Daddy Bezos came to us right now and offered us a big cash money reward to sell out, we'd do it in a heartbeat, just like that.
You see, like, I'm gonna give you guys, a little slice of this rocket cash, and you're gonna, just say I love Amazon online once in a while.
I mean, we just did a whole plug for their new show that's not even out yet.
Right.
But what we're gonna do is we find trends on TikTok that correspond with what we're talking about, and then we're going to go into this as soon as Jimmy finds the fucking TikTok.
Okay, so I'm not gonna show the TikTok on here, but I am gonna
play the audio.
I'm gonna play.
And we're gonna give the creator. We're gonna shout out their creator to let them know that they, we use their TikTok, and of course the, spotlight their creativity and their voice.
Exactly.
Do you have it?
Almost. Jeez, where the?
You need to organize your shit.
I know. Here we go. So this is from the creator on TikTok called Yo Boy Denzel Comedy. Okay, that's YOBOY Denzel Comedy, all one word.
Yep. So this is his original creation.
So this is the audio that starts off the whole thing. Come on, you.
Yes.
That's not it.
What's a movie or book villain that you feel made their plan way too complicated to succeed?
So that, if you guys can hear it, what movie or book villain made their plan way too complicated to succeed? And I'm definitely saying Sauron for this, because if you follow his plan, first of all, it takes 1,000 years to even do anything. Second of all, he's like, okay, I'm gonna make bling for all of the races, and I'm gonna give them to them, like really getting good with them. It's gonna take 1,000
corresponding like numbers too, like 9, 7, like why?
Yeah. I'm gonna like number and color code them, and wait 1,000 years so that I can use the rings to control their races. But really, just these people, like they're the ones in charge.
Yeah.
And here's the deal: it didn't even work.
On most of them, it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And actually, the rings that were given out most of the time just worked against him. He gave him power rings, and they used them against him.
Yeah. So the only ones that worked out were the humans, and that really didn't work out because all he got were some semi-powerful lackeys who catch on fire really easily.
Yeah, and literally can't do anything outside of that. The Witch King of Admar is probably the most powerful, but he doesn't do a lot.
I mean, Tolkien's got super duper soft magic system, but and then so the elves doesn't work on them because they just don't use them. The dwarves, they wear the rings, but here's the thing about dwarves is they're just too stubborn for Sauron's magic to even work on.
They're not powerful. They're not anything. They're not smart enough. They just don't work.
So
it's weird.
And he tries to find them, but a bunch of them go missing. One of them goes missing because the dwarf that was wearing them got eaten by a dragon. Like you did that to yourself.
So wait, why does he need the rings back?
That's a good question. Like that's one of the things I've looked up before, honestly, and there's no good answer. People are really just like Sauron he's the embodiment of covetousness, and like he couldn't stand the idea that other people were using these rings like against him and for other purposes than he wanted.
So basically, he's covetousness. He's wants to rule everything. He's also the crafter. What else isn't he? He's a deceiver.
British baking show champion. Oh yeah, all the best villains at the British baking show. Yeah,
but he's like cramped underneath the tent. He's trying to make color out the scones.
Like his cake keeps getting soggy because his like crown hat like keeps poking holes in the tent because he's too damn tall.
how to make a mental breakdown. Bon appetit.
So, yeah, and that's definitely Sauron.
It's kind of it's kind of weird because at the point of Lord of the Rings, his strategy to invade Middle Earth is actually going pretty well. It would have succeeded if he had an HR department and actually gave his men equipment that wasn't shit.
Yeah, he kind of just made them make all their own stuff. It was a bring your own sword thing. Yeah.
I mean, if he took he literally had thousands of years and he didn't have like a good training program.
Yeah, and like his entire plan was basically, I'm gonna play Risk I'm gonna play Middle Earth Risk.
Yeah, but like just with numbers and no other real strategy. There were some strategies, but that was it. I also realized today that Saruman was the worst ally to have.
Yeah.
Was the absolute worst. Because when he creates the Uruk-hai, the best orcs, who are they loyal to?
Saruman?
Saruman.
Right.
So as soon as the war is over and he's spent all of his good orcs doing literally useless shit, Saruman is going to take over.
So we all know that, good old J.R.R. Tolkien fought in World War I, and Lord of the Rings is heavily inspired and kind of an allegory for World War I.
No, it's not.
Go on, Jared. Go on.
Tolkien expressly said and stated many times that he hates allegories. It's just a story.
Then why is it so much like World War I?
All medieval wars are like World War I. It's shitty. It's in the mud, and everyone's cannon fodder.
True.
And also,
the leadership is based on how large your mustache is.
Basically, yeah, it's medieval warfare. It's World War I was the leftovers of that kind of thinking. So don't think so much about it, you fucking Nimrod. Learn your source.
Don't think about it, you idiot. Like, what kind of logic is that? Okay, we're moving on.
Turn your brain off. Don't think about things. You have no smart.
As soon as we start getting into the war history thing, though, the conversation instantly gets super toxic. So we're gonna come. Okay, I'm gonna ask some of the deep questions that have been really bugging me about Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth in general. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So what is Shelob? And to that extent, Watcher in the Waters. Okay, so we know in the movie Shelob is a giant spider, correct?
I know. I got this.
But in the canon, in the book, she's described more as something like this. It's less more of like a
So, I have the answer.
Okay, Jared, go ahead.
You want me to answer it?
Kind of.
You want to keep talking? You want to keep talking?
I kind of do now. I kind of don't want to get an answer now.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay.
Really
All right.
Okay. So Shelob is the daughter of the original giant spider.
Ungoliant?
Ungoliant.
I think.
So Ungoliant was essentially kind of like a chaos entity. She fought alongside Morgoth until she got really pissed off and tried to eat him too.
So where did Ungoliant come from?
It's not really stated. I believe she was created kind of by accident, kind of like one of those things where Morgoth. It's not really stated. It's kind of like one of those things where she was just kind of maybe a byproduct of the creation itself.
Or do you think that maybe the Watchers in the water were kind of like that?
Okay.
Like the creatures that gnaw the bones of the earth or something?
Tolkien never really described what that was.
Right.
It's kind of like the H.P. Lovecraftian without being Lovecraftian.
Yeah. Did they know about each other? Did J.R.R. Tolkien and H.P.R. Lovecraft did J.R.R. Tolkien and H.P. Lovecraft know about each other? Did they have any influence?
H.P. Lovecraft was fairly unknown by the time of his death in 1927, and The Hobbit didn't come out until 1932.
Right, but that still leaves a bit of time. So, but you don't think that J.R.R. Tolkien had any inspiration or because these creatures and some of these things he describes are very eldritch in nature.
It's eldritch in nature, but H.P. Lovecraft was a pasty white guy that was afraid of everything outside of his hometown, and afraid of people that weren't expressly like eggshell white. So he didn't travel anywhere, and he definitely didn't have a lot of correspondence with people outside of the country. He did have a lot of correspondence with some science fiction writers in, the metropolitan areas and East Coast, but really didn't really have any contact with anybody outside of the country.
So Tolkien came up with these kind of dark, really eldritch-esque creatures on his own accord, basically.
I mean, the first real cosmic horror, eldritch horror kind of person, writer, was Edgar Allan Poe.
True, fair.
Not
At least the mainstream one. I'd be willing to argue that Shelley, you could put her up with that. But we're digressing.
We are digressing.
Several generations back.
Shelob is the direct daughter of that of
Ungoliant.
So that's why she's so ravenous and she eats a lot and she wants to devour a lot of things.
So, but she's not really a giant spider. She's like a chaos entity.
Kind of. So a spider would be like, I would say, is the best way to describe something that catches things and then eats them.
Yeah.
Like that's their main things. The spiders of Mirkwood are the offspring of Shelob. Who mates with Shelob?
A house spider, like in Arachnophobia.
Oh my god, that movie. Yeah. So it could be. That would be about it. And I know in the Lord of the Rings, Shadows of Mordor, Shelob has a more
here's the question the creators asked. Okay, giant demon spider.
What if it was
hot?
hot?
What if it was hot? Like, what were they thinking?
Well, it is. I mean, think about it. I mean,
I'm trying to.
I mean, clearly.
I mean, like, okay, so
you had that. I know for a fact you had that picture set.
I got it queued up. So like,
it's kind of like think of it kind of like it's an like you said, it's a chaos entity. It can change its form based on what it wants. Shelob is a spider. It's supposed to catch things. Maybe not necessarily with webbing and venom, but with what it has at its disposal.
Okay,
but
and
also she's talking to the spirit within that main character. What's his name?
I don't know. I've never actually played those games.
Yeah, so the spirit of the guy who forged the rings and the One Ring, he's within that main character, and that's who she's primarily speaking through. So she has to come up. So that's probably what Shelob looks like in her ethereal form, kind of like what Sauron would kind of be like.
Right. Yeah. She's probably similar to Sauron because, like, okay, so looking at this much more canon depiction of Shelob, like, this is a very off-putting picture. Like, I'm having trouble looking at it honestly. But then, for somehow the creative team behind Shadow of War, etc., managed to get to this. I'm just wondering what the thought process was.
It's probably not like the thing like that is her, and that's probably like the image she's projecting. Probably like behind that is an invisible giant eldritch spider, like you just showed.
Oh, that's unsettling.
Yeah, it's probably that. Like I said, it's a spider. It's trying to catch prey. It's trying to be enticing. That Shelob is less of a ally and more of a dangerous source of information in the game.
So someone described Shelob as basically like, so she guards the tunnel to get into Mordor. Sauron knows she's there. He knows that she eats all these orcs and stuff, but he's like, she's not allied with Sauron, but he's kind of like, she's kind of convenient, so I'm going to keep her there. Now,
it's basically a natural barrier. That's a lie.
So,
yeah,
we keep getting ants Caitlin and I keep getting ants in our apartment, those little sugar ants. We recently discovered a cross orb weaver spider of about approximately that size in our backyard, and we've started feeding the ants to that. Well, I've started feeding the ants to it as
it's like the first sign of a psychopath,
as a method of catharsis. And so every time one of these ants gets in the house, I'm like, what do we do about it? We couldn't let her do it.
So he actually put up he has a draft of a TikTok where he does that, and he gets one and he puts it directly into the web right by it, and you can see it like tie it up and everything. It's perfect. I don't know why you didn't post that.
I'm going to. That spider is like it's super creepy crawly, but it's beautiful looking. It's very, very hypnotically, like it looks like it's like a machine. It's like got like all these little moving parts and stuff. It's like clockwork.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I guess I could see how they went from like creepy crawly spider to attractive woman. There's okay, maybe I don't. I kind of want to backtrack that last statement, but it's out there.
You just said it.
It's on the internet.
That's a subreddit right there.
There's a community for that already. There's a
community for that.
There's a convention for that simply started.
Do you have any other questions?
Let's see here. I don't really have any other questions per se. Well, let's see here. Why don't we talk a little bit more about the walk to Mordor? Because,
Okay.
you know, first of all, everyone's favorite line from Lord of the Rings is one does simply not walk into Mordor. I'm willing to argue, actually, one simply does walk into Mordor.
The Easterlings literally just march right in.
Because you can't get to Mordor any other way, unless you're riding a horse. But even so, how else are you gonna get into Mordor? You have to walk into.
I'd say that's like one of the first memes.
Yeah.
Or like the start of the meme.
Yeah.
chains. But like
meme lords built their empires on that meme.
Exactly. My science teachers in high school had like one to simply does not have the Pythagorean theorem or some shit. So it's there's only one way to go into Mordor, and it's through really the Black Gates. That's the simplest way, and they built the Black Gates, which is apparently just a giant saloon door.
Right.
You know.
Oh my god! And then the troll comes through. Never mind that shit. Here comes Mongo. Rips the door off.
Mordor is naturally impenetrable, but it's absolute shit inside. So I don't understand why anybody would want to go into Mordor.
Because they need to do the One Ring. All right, let's go back to how we're going to walk there. So here's basically a map of the journeys of Lord of the Rings. I'm gonna get a bigger image on that so that we can actually take a look.
I can't see shit.
Here we go. All right, so here we go. So it starts.
I like how the undesirable path is half of it is the optimal path as well.
True. It only becomes undesirable because they have to go into the mines of Moria. Yeah, and basically so that's it. That's kind of an interesting thing because they get to that mountain there. They get to that mountain pass where they have to turn down south towards Moria, and that's where kind of Tolkien kind of touches on that weird bigger than somewhat eldritch, I guess I want to say, fact, because sometimes he alludes to things that aren't known by people like Gandalf even, and one of these things is this mountain is basically storming just to turn them back and stuff. It's this.
But Sauron does that kind
of. They show that in the book, but they only really kind of are able to speculate. And one of the things they mention is it's the mountain itself doesn't want us to come this way, basically. So yeah, and then they turn south.
Things are alive.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the light of Luvatar. After the light of Luvatar goes out, it kind of I feel like things kind of just become darker and more eldritch.
Yeah. So that's one thing about it's very heavily Catholic inspired, but also kind of heavily pagan animist inspired. If we're gonna get really down and dirty with it.
I mean, the Watcher of the Water is basically the Kraken.
Yeah, it's basically the Kraken and/or Cthulhu and/or I don't know what's another Lovecraftian demon. Dagon.
Dagon's a giant fish person. It's literally just a fish dude.
Yeah. Either way, all right. So here's how our path is going to start. We're starting in the Shire. You go over to Bree, where they meet up with ya boy Aragorn.
Or Strider.
Yep. And then you head over to Rivendell. You turn south. You go through the mountains more. So we're just going with distance. We're not going to be matching the elevation of this.
So how long is this? How long is going to be the walk to Mordor? I didn't even ask.
So the walk to Mordor overall is about they call it 2,500 kilometers, which translates in miles to walk to Mordor, blah, blah, blah.
You really didn't know before you went on this?
No.
Really?
Progress. Okay, here we go. Okay, at the very end, we've got the Grey Wood, which is 1,900.
Jesus, 1,900 miles?
Yeah. So, I mean, we walk at your own pace. I mean, Matt, you think Matt's gonna do this? Matt, he's shorter than us by a head. He's gonna have to do.
He's a full stone below us.
He's gonna have to go ting 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 ting. Yeah. So. Yeah. So a little over 1,900 miles, 1,932 miles.
1932. That's a good year.
Yeah.
That's when The Hobbit came out.
Did they do that on purpose? Either way, we're going by this app, okay, guys?
Yeah.
And so this doesn't do the full loop. This does from the. It looks like they go outside Mount Doom. I haven't read Return of the King, but it looks like they don't do the full journey back to the Shire. They do until like right before they start heading back to the Shire, basically.
Yeah.
So, please follow us on our journey. I'm going to be posting TikToks to like actually keep up on this stuff. And
I'm gonna win, so no matter what, don't worry.
Because Jarrett jailbroke his goddamn Fitbit.
I'm just better than you. Yeah, that's all.
But here's the thing, though. You're not.
I've always been better than you.
I've always been better than you, Jimmy. What are you doing, Jimmy?
What are you doing?
What are you doing, Kyle? So, yeah, we that's something that we're gonna it's gonna be fun when Matt gets back on. I'm going to unveil the prize that we're gonna have lined up for this.
It better be good.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. So
It's
yeah,
be fucking good. Otherwise, I'll be pissed.
I'd love to hear about everyone else's like their fitness and or activity goals. I just realized we're coming up on winter. It's gonna be a fucking bear to keep up on this during that time, but I think we can do it. Okay. We're running up on time here. You want to do one more TikTok?
Sure.
Okay, so this one's gonna be entirely unrelated.
You better have this queued up right away, otherwise I'll be pissed.
Oh yeah, I've got it. So this is a creator called.
He does not have a cue.
He's
Here
still
we go.
scrolling.
Here we go. JJ the Tubster. JJ the Tubster is the creator. I'm not gonna play the whole thing for you, but basically his premise is video games aren't fun anymore. It's way too competitive. It's not fun anymore. So, all right, we're gonna talk about this. Jarrett, what's your take on that?
Gaming not being fun anymore.
I 100% agree with that, by the way.
Yeah, so it's all about replay value. How much game time you're going to be putting on.
Yeah.
It's there is something to be said about like content, like Skyrim. There's always something to do. There's always something to explore and see. But a lot of games are just grind fests.
Yeah.
It's just so much.
And like No Man's Sky and a couple of other games, they're huge. There's a lot to do, but there is nothing permanent. There's so much to do, but there's nothing for you to do. Everything's the same. I feel like it's been a long time since I've played a new game, and I was like, wow, this is actually entertaining. This is fun. It's really disappointing because I know there's a lot of good game developers out there. I just haven't been able to see it.
Yeah. I totally agree with this guy's statement. I totally agree. I think this kind of started with the pro gaming phenomenon. Like, video games always had like the one guy who wanted to be the best, but it was
And all the little achievements.
yeah, it was pretty few and far between those people. But then I remember gaming, as a profession became very popular. You start having these big, huge events with these $1 million payouts, which were breaking in the news. And then that sort of turned over to Twitch streaming and the streaming culture. And then that one's like, it's not even that you need to be the best gamer, you need to be the most watched gamer.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's hyper competitive. Everyone's like hyper, trying to
get out as much content as possible.
get out as much content as like the most eyeballs on screens.
Yeah.
And part of that is like, they feel like they got to be the top ranked. And like my memories from video games are like getting together with friends and playing Halo 2 until 4 in the morning and having LAN parties and shit.
It's my brother and I are very casual gamers. We're not going to do or play a game unless we actually
Like it a lot. The game I like the most that I've been playing is probably Jurassic World Evolution. Just seeing dinos.
Just having your dino buds.
just having dinos.
I'm recreating all of Jurassic Park 3's dinosaurs in a park. That's something I like. It's just like I don't have to do anything. I can go at my own pace. I can do whatever I want. It's me having my fun. It's not linear. I don't have to grind. I don't have to do anything. It's just me going at my own pace.
But
There's
then
very little
as
of
soon as you step foot into a gamer lobby, your ass is grass.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Those every 12-year-old on the planet wants to be the top ranked Fortnite player.
Oh yeah.
It's really contributed to a much more of a toxic culture, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's as toxic as it's always been, but I think it's definitely caused an aspect that can be very toxic.
There are very few good player interactions.
Yeah.
between two players.
Because it's all about who's gonna. There's very few good player interactions because it's all gonna be about who's the best, who's got the highest kill streak, and then if you're even slightly like a little bit casual, you're gonna get cursed out and kicked out of the lobby.
So I actually have a little bit of a story for this. So I played Fortnite, Call of Duty, that stuff. When you are playing with people, they just do their thing. They have their objectives. They're gonna go do it. There's no interaction.
Right.
And I'm not very good because again, like I'm very casual. I was being reported to Microsoft for playing Call of Duty because I wasn't good.
They narked on you for being casual.
Yeah, so they were saying I was harassing them, so I wouldn't be in their lobbies and on their teams anymore.
Oh man.
So that was fun. But for all the shit I give Fallout 76, I'll play a game and I'll come across a player, just a random player in the world, and they'll wave at me and they'll gesture to me.
Just because. It's like the most wholesome gaming experience possible right there.
Encouraging player interaction on a personal level.
Just kings and queens supporting kings and queens on Fallout 76.
Exactly. And I'm gonna be putting out a review of Fallout 76 in the next month. So stay tuned to that. But the player community I enjoy a lot. I did the Battle Royale with random players, and a lot of support from player to player interaction.
It's a shame that you have to find a game that like the mainstream doesn't care about though to get that kind of interaction, because if it's a newer game or a game that the mainstream cares about, then you get all this like toxic competitiveness.
Exactly, and everyone wants to get all their achievements. They want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
To catch them is my real test.
But the thing is, it's unfortunately for a lot of podcasts and a lot of Twitch streamers is that is their job. That is what they're gonna do. So they have to play like that.
Like a very small percentage are actually like making money on that, and then like 90% of the people are like trying to get to that, and they're doing it in a very non-productive way.
Yeah. Exactly. It's and I think it does hurt the community, and I do understand why they're doing it. It's not we're knocking these creators.
Yeah, that's why people invented Twitch. If you want to stream and go on Twitch, like by all means, like we will watch you, we will we'll subscribe, all that. But like everyone wants to have a good time when they're playing games. We got to do better. We just got to do better.
Yeah. The gaming community has always had the shit end of the stick when it comes to the nerd culture. It's not. It's always been the heel, gamers. And I think we should be more supportive of each other.
How shall.
Yeah. But to round out this stream, not our stream, our podcast tonight, I wanted to say something really quickly that this month is Latin Heritage Month.
That's right.
So at the end of every podcast until October 15th, we are going to be spotlighting some Latin American movies and TV shows and actors and creators to showcase, why this month is important. So, unfortunately, I couldn't find a lot because we're in America. There's not a lot of Latin American movies and TV shows on our streaming services that we could find, unfortunately. I did find the horror movie Wreck. Yep, Wreck. It's about the people that get trapped in their motel with the new strain of rabies or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, but guess what? It's Spanish, not Latin American.
I
see.
see.
There's a very distinct difference. So, Guillermo del Toro, the famous director, one of the biggest H.P. Lovecraft fans I've ever seen. I love him a lot. I hope he gets the Mountains of Madness out. Knock on wood. He's of Mexican heritage. Of course, Pan's Labyrinth, but I didn't feel like including that one just because that movie takes place in Spain. It's same, but it's different.
Yeah.
But
Robert Rodriguez, Spy Kids.
Holy shit.
People are when James Cameron's like, I'm gonna make a movie that's in 3D. I was like it's already been done.
I already have Spy Kids.
I already saw Spy Kids in 3D, and it blew my fucking mind. I saw that on that was like my birthday present.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It's like I was thinking about that too. It was like the biggest plot twist in cinematic history when that girl is like is like virtual. I'm like, oh,
Betrayal. Then when Carlos Montalban forgives Sylvester Stallone for crippling him,
oh yeah.
like that's a legit like good movie moment right there.
I'm gonna say this right now that the OSS is highly illegal. Just like trapping a guy in the digital world with no due process.
And it doesn't like.
And
I mean,
also,
does it help that all their gadgets look like toys, basically?
Yeah, and the budget to that place is outrageous. And also, child soldiers.
Dude, don't diss Spy Kids. There was literally nothing cooler than Spy Kids when we were kids, except for maybe Power Rangers.
Anyway, I will throw out one more mention, which is the Three Caballeros from the 50s Disney did. Do you remember that? Donald Duck, and he had two other friends from Latin America.
I feel like that's a very tone deaf.
It is extremely tone deaf. It is almost. I think it's worth the watch just so you can pick out what's wrong and where they were like inaccurate. That's why I kind of like it from. But that was a movie that I grew up with, like on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Three Caballeros.
Yeah, you watched it on repeat
A lot. I liked it. It was. But what I really like is the animation. It is really, really good.
Right.
It's really good. Yeah, it's very tone deaf because it's Disney. Disney was.
I mean, he basically before that movie was made, he did a kind of like a tour around various Latin American countries, and he really fell in love with the area, and he made that movie. It's like kind
he
of
still made the Song of the South too. Though.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a little tone deaf. I don't know if it actually involved a ton of Latin American creators, etc. I haven't like researched the movie enough, but I think it's definitely worth a watch. Is like sort of like the American and Latino interaction,
and at least what the American perspective of the Latin American communities were at the time.
Yeah,
I think what it was a love letter with a lot of swear words in it. Essentially,
did it have swear words?
No, no. I'm saying like it's a love letter to the Latin American culture, but they do it wrong. Like it's a love letter with swear words in it.
Okay,
that's what I'm kind of going at it as. Yeah, it is. If you want to learn about the Latin American community, don't watch that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other great artists and shows and movies to do that from. We'll have more of those. I just wanted to lead out with that one, just because I love the animation.
That's where your perspective started from as a kid, basically.
Yes. It kind of introduced me to the Spanish and the Latin American culture. It's it does not just focus on Mexican culture and heritage and customs. It goes kind of around. It's again very problematic. I'd watch it just to see what America was kind of like seeing other countries as.
Right.
Obviously problematic because we kind of sucked.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but that'll be our segments. Going forward, we're gonna have a little bit. We're gonna have a lot more to talk about next time.
For sure.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think it's been a good show. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of Lord of the Rings talk. We rambled on quite a bit. We spent a lot of time waiting for Jimmy to find the fucking TikToks he was talking about.
It happens. Well, let us know what you guys think about the new show, what your Lord of the Rings theories and questions are. And if you guys are doing the Walk to Mordor challenge, we want to hear about it. We want to hear about your activities.
How you're going to do it and how you're going to survive.
And let us know which one of us you think is going to win it. Jimmy, the tall, athletic one. Jarrett,
the persistent, handsome one.
Matt, the guy who skates, so literally like one step is 5 steps for a normal person. I don't know, like...
He skates because he doesn't know how to walk.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
He's like the Baron from Dune.
Yeah. So, okay. We love Matt. He's doing great. He's actually been hiking a lot, and he lives in the south, so he gets like an extra 2 months on either side of spring to hike.
He's been hiking up mountains and shit.
Yeah, so he's got this, honestly.
He's got this shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can't wait to see him on the show again. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Jimmy.
This has been Jarrett.